depression. Your mind is a weapon, 11-11, it's time for progression. You
could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. Ambitions in the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds. They can stay soft. You can change lives. You create thoughts. Never waste time. You got one shot. You got one life. Better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5. No mean boss. Just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way. What I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me.
Yo, I got a little bit of a head cold. What are we doing? I don't even remember. What are we doing? When is it okay to question the Pope by Catholic Answers? We're going to look at the Jewish Catholic. He's a new YouTuber. I don't know how new, but he's new to me. We're going to look at Rebecca Bar-Surf, comparing the difference between Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. And if we get there, we are going to finish with 9 questions Christians can't answer by Alex O'Connor. And if I sound weird, it's because my head's completely stuffed up. All right. No announcements today. I got nothing. Let's go. Better. Okay, here we go.
In some ways, I mean, John Paul II clearly is this giant, charismatic figure, and Joseph Ratzinger is not. He's a different kind of creature. But I do think a lot of the ways I think people did orient themselves was around him in some ways. I mean, John Paul II clearly is this giant, charismatic figure, and Joseph Ratzinger is not. He's a different kind of creature. But I do think a lot of the people, I don't know, in my orbit, I don't know how else to describe it, were more of the, let's just hunker down. We'll be good Catholics. This thing will start growing again once it goes through. You know, this it'll have this process like Ratzinger gave it. And then Pope Francis comes along, and he's a completely different kind of figure. I mean, an out of the blue figure, not a person I am comfortable with at all. I don't. But Christ's vicar nonetheless. And with.
I disagree with that statement. I love Pope Francis. Pope Francis so far is my favorite pope. Since I've been alive, Pope Francis is my favorite pope, my second favorite pope. Well, it's a tie, really. It's a tie between Pope Francis and John Paul II. These are my top two popes, period. Then it would be... I've only been through so many popes. Then it would be Ratzinger. I can't remember what his pope name was. Pope Benedict.
And so, like Jesus, I don't know if you know this. He doesn't call me and ask me about who should be his vicar. Vicar. I just
give me 1 second. I'm gonna get some nasal spray because I sound terrible. I'll be right back. No one's in the room anyway. It doesn't matter.
I haven't gotten that call yet.
I
But
haven't gotten that call either, actually.
yeah. So so I want to be a good son of the church. I want to follow. But boom, a lot of people wanted to just have their head down and be like, all right, we're gonna be this hardcore, and we'll be like a seed and something. And then this pope comes along and says, no, that's not what we're doing. We're doing something different. Help me with that.
Okay, well, yeah, I've thought about this a lot, and I think Archbishop Shappy wrote about this recently, within the last year or so, but he's not the only one either. The kind of excessive.
Kleenex. I'll be right back.
the-
Dog. What I need is an avatar so you guys don't know when I'm here and when I'm not.
excessive view we had of the role of the papacy that came off a long string of really, really good popes. Doesn't mean that Francis is a bad pope. He's just a very different pope. And again, I keep coming back to history. If you don't know the history of the church, you don't understand that popes are very human. We've had some really bad ones. I mean, evil guys, and a lot of mediocre people. And the main function that the Pope serves is to provide us a sense of unity. And when that gets wobbly, everything gets weird. And I think people are not accustomed to the style of this papacy compared to the last 6 or 7 people who inhabited it. And that's very disruptive. That's very disruptive, very disorienting. Now, let's put that aside for a moment. It's also quite, mature Catholic obedience is not servility. We have a right to say, wait a minute, that doesn't fit with what my understanding of fidelity to the corpus of the church is. And so it's not wrong as long as it's done respectfully and with goodwill and fidelity to question a pope. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm an adult. I think I'm supposed to use my brain.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be faithful. And if I sense something wrong with the way things are running, I have the obligation to say that respectfully. And everything I've just said, Archbishop Shappy would have said, because I've heard him say it. I mean, we need to be faithful, but fidelity does not necessarily mean turning off our brains. And so I think some of the questioning and criticism that has been leveled at Rome over the last few years is perfectly legitimate. It doesn't give us a pass on obedience, but it does. It's perfectly. I mean, that's what lay people are supposed to do. Act in truth.
Have you been surprised at how disrespectful some of the Catholic media response has been to Pope Francis?
Yeah, I don't think that's very productive. I understand people being angry and upset, but see, this goes back to comments earlier in our conversation. I mean, I think X.
I really don't get people being upset with Pope Francis. He's perfectly fine. He's doing a great job, more than adequate, and I think great.
Twitter have had an enormously disruptive effect on the way we just think and converse, and it gets everybody freaked out all the time. I mean, I have an X account. I never post or very rarely post, but I have 4 or 5 people that I follow, Carlo Lancelotti and some other people. And when you do that, you also get a whole plethora of other people that you're not particularly interested in. And the level of controversy is just intense, and again, if that's your primary source of information or primary way of interfacing with the world, you're going to be a really miserable person, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, and that misery probably leads to losing the heart for the church. You might have all these intellectual rationalizations for why you're miserable and treating other people miserably, including the Pope himself, who I frankly, I don't want to face Jesus and explain why I was rotten to his vicar. I don't want to I don't want to have that conversation. But you can kind of justify this participating in this rottenness once the heart is no longer really with the church anymore.
Yeah, I think you're seeing that even among clergy. That's not new, by the way. That's been going on for centuries.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this Catholic Answer, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out our live streams Monday through Friday.
All right, let's go to the next thing. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. No music. No music. We have a strictly no music policy on this channel. I'm sorry to hear your sciatica's acting up, my friend. I have a head cold. I think my allergies are acting up, or I just got sick. I don't know which.
Question so that I could answer it. If you follow me on Instagram, you had the opportunity to ask me a question so that I could answer it here on video. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Of course, I got a lot, so I'm not going to be able to answer all of them, but I'll do my best. Are you ready? Let's go. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, The Jewish Catholic. My name is Daniel, and as I mentioned in today's video, we're going to be taking your questions as asked on Instagram, and I will be answering them in a short manner because there are so many questions, and I want to try to get to as many as in Mass in Japan. Technically, yes, because there is an SS Pesach, or the Passover. Some people know, and some don't, about the Jewish roots of baptism. And the fact that what it is...
Wait, what? Go back. Is he not really Catholic?
On the video so you can see them as well, but I'm going to read them out anyway. First question says, is there TLM in Japan? Is there a traditional Latin Mass in Japan? Technically, yes, because there is an SSPX group that meets here in Tokyo, also I think in Osaka. But because of the SSPX and their canonical standing not being very clear, for me personally, it's something that I'm not going to get involved in. So standing. I prefer just sticking to what I know the church is very clear on, that is permissible and that is good to go on, and that is Novus Ordo. And thankfully here in Japan, we have more frequently be getting the opportunity to have Latin Masses with priests that come in from other countries. I think this is something that everybody has to deal with, at least to some degree, logically, and I think you'll get a good picture of the faith and how it evolved. If you want to know more history-wise, then that would have to be other sources. But for me, book recommendations to better understand the roots or beginnings of Catholicism. I think the best way is what I did when I... So I already answered the first question. The second part of the question is about the Roman Rite. That's basically all we have here. Christianity is true. This is a topic that I'm very passionate about, and I think I'll make a specific video on it. But the basics of it is, I don't understand how so many Christians, specifically Catholics, say, man, we see the typology, we see it. I know that you as a Jewish Catholic, you see it. Why couldn't the other Jews see what we see? And the reality is this. How can they see something that was never shown to them? They don't even know anything about Jesus. And I'm talking about anything. Anything that they might know is probably a lie. Just like how a lot of Protestants think that.
Okay, this is not going anywhere. Let's go to the next video. Oh.
Christianity and Islam are three religions that are often described as Abrahamic religions. So what makes
I like her title, by the way. Not this title, but if you actually look at her cover, she's like, yeah, right.
those three religions Abrahamic? Well, let's dive into the comparison between Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. Well, let's start with a basic premise. The basic premise in Christianity is love. The goal is salvation. In Judaism, justice is the basic premise. The goal is the preservance of life. The basic premise in Islam is jihad, and the goal is conquest, world domination. Next, let's talk about the global mission of each religion.
Is Christianity's global mission love? Love and forgiveness, yeah, sure. Is Judaism's justice, law, obedience? You can be a little more complicated than what she gave. Islam, I wouldn't so much say world dominance as global submission.
Christianity. In Christianity, the goal is for the world, the whole world, to accept Jesus. Judaism fights for the recognition that there is one moral truth that is true no matter where you are on earth or what kind of traditions you follow. For example, not eating flesh out of an animal that is still alive is one of them. Islam, submission to Muhammad. So with Islam, submission to Muhammad is...
I think Muslims would disagree with this definition. It's more submission to the Quran or submission to Allah.
Their global mission, and the whole world needs to be Islamic and under one caliphate. One main factor that makes the most difference between the religions is how they go about their global mission. What is their operation method? Christianity, preaching the greatness of Jesus, explaining, and Judaism, law, Whether Jews admit it or not, they are super involved with everything that involves law. The human rights and laws that are now accepted globally in theory, in practicality, only accepted by those who follow the Judeo-Christian value system, had been mostly written and pushed and actually brought forward by Jews. Islam. War, every place that is not ruled by Islam is Dar al-Harb, is a place that has to have war until it is Islamic. Worshipped God, Islam, Allah, Judaism, Jehovah. And in Christianity, Jesus is God. It's pretty complicated because Christians really like arguing about how to understand or explain the Trinity and how Jesus, the Father, and the Holy Spirit, how they interact with each other. The foundation. Christianity was founded in the 1st century, Judaism sometime during the Bronze Age, and Islam in the 7th century. So here is the foundation story, and I'm going to start with Christianity and Islam because this is something that is important. Basically, in Christianity, the belief is that Jesus is personification of God, and everything that Jesus had said were messages from God as they were recorded.
It's not that they were messages from God. SSPX is a schismatic group that broke off from the Catholic Church, but they say they didn't. That was excommunicated by the Catholic Church, but the Catholic Church denies they excommunicated them. Basically, they're kind of like the Rad Trads before the Rad Trads became a thing. Going back to her thing, I don't agree with her assessment. Let me go back.
This is something that is important. Basically, in Christianity, the belief is that Jesus is personification of God, and everything that Jesus
Not a personification. He actually is God incarnate. He's an incarnation, not personification.
had said were messages from God as they were recorded.
And they're not messages from God. Almost everything in the New Testament is very specifically a reworking or I'm going to say replaying, but that's kind of the wrong word, of a biblical principle. So almost all of Jesus' sayings are actually old Jewish sayings. Almost all the great things you think about, they're actually Jewish concepts. Even prayers that we use are actually Jewish concepts. So we're kind of riffing and recontextualizing Jewish ideas into a Christian context. And if you're not comfortable with that, you're just not comfortable with what the Bible's doing. The fact that some of the bigger name guys, secular scholars like Dan, Kip, and Bart, aren't comfortable with that is very odd to me. I think you have to be comfortable with that if you're going to play in the sandbox, because it's what Jesus is doing. He's recontextualizing the Old Testament. If you want to say the real Jesus didn't do that, the historical Jesus didn't do that, but the character in the Gospels did it. Fine, but that's the only version of Jesus we have, is the version that's presented to us in the Bible. Now, as Christians, as a Christian, I believe Jesus is God, so Jesus is always present, so I have a relationship with him now. But as an atheist who doesn't believe in spiritualism, you're kind of stuck with what's on the page. And what's on the page, that's the Jesus that we have. We don't have whatever your historical Jesus was, because we don't know who that guy was. We know who was presented on the page. Christians are making the argument that the guy who presented on the page is the actual historical Jesus, which is another thing that a lot of scholars don't seem to get.
By his disciples. So when Jesus was acknowledged, this is when Christianity was founded. Islam, it's basically the same story, just with Muhammad. And Muhammad is not a personification of God, but he got his...
No, Muhammad would consider himself, Muhammad's more of a prophet. He's not a Christ figure. In fact, Jesus stays a Christ figure in Islam because of its influences coming from Gnosticism and other Christian heresies that fled into Arabia.
Messages through Satan, the angel Gabriel, and Allah. It's amazing that the Quran actually claims that about itself. All right, but...
You know, it's interesting that I don't know any Jewish person that doesn't understand the concept of Satan. So it's kind of interesting to me that scholars will act like as if there's no Satan or no devil in Judaism. Clearly, there's some kind of understanding of evil absence or evil opposing force or something going on in Judaism. So it's whether you want to say it's going back to, you know, Xanthurianism or something like that, some kind of influence, Middle Eastern influence, whatever. You got Baal and you have the ancient serpent. So I mean, you don't have to go to Satan to get there. Crap, I'm dying.
We have two people, right? We have the Muhammad and we have Jesus that have revelations that were given to their followers, and this is
I can barely talk, and there's no one here in the audience. Listen, Lisa, you got to go get all your atheist friends. Get them to come watch. If I'm gonna be going out, I want an audience.
both religions focus on. So Islam focuses on Muhammad almost exclusively, and Christianity focuses on Jesus almost exclusively. With Judaism is different.
Well, the Holy Spirit's a big player, and so is Paul. So I'd say that that's kind of a misrepresentation, which means I think she might be misrepresenting Islam just a little bit.
Revelation of God was not given to one person in Judaism. It was actually given to the Israelites as a whole. So you can say that the formation.
And again, I think you have a misunderstanding of who Jesus is. Like, Jesus is God. He is God. So like he's, you know, the revelation isn't given to him. He is the revelation. That's the big. Jesus is the revelation. That's kind of what's going on there.
Of Judaism's concept started in Mount Sinai with people agreeing on basic principles, scripture, Christianity.
So there's an idea in Judaism which I love, which doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work theologically, nothing. Basically, all the souls of all the Jews that have ever existed and will ever exist were at Mount Sinai during the covenant, and when they consent, all the Jewish people break the veil of time, go back in time, and their souls are there before their souls exist. Huh? Pre-existence at the covenant. All Jewish people. If you're ever a Jew, if you ever become a Jew, you were there and you consented. That's awesome. I don't think that beats might be the wrong word. I don't think that competes with Protestant time traveling Jesus or with Catholic piercing of the veil, going through time. Every Eucharistic supper being part of the original one. Let's not worry about that. But I just think I still think it's cool.
Christianity, the New Testament.
Every Jewish soul was at Mount Sinai, and every Jewish soul that will ever exist was at Mount Sinai and consented to the law.
Judaism, the Torah, Islam, the Quran. Christianity mostly takes its guidelines out of the New Testament, and when it comes to Judaism, Torah is the basis for Jewish law. And
I mean, Christians spend a lot of time in the Old Testament, let's be honest. We completely recontextualized it, but yeah, we spend a lot of time in the Old Testament.
Same is true for the Quran when it comes to Islam. If we go deeper than that, then it would be also more accurate to say that in Christianity, the Bible, the New Testament, and the Old Testament compose the Holy Book, Holy Bible, and the scripture that Christianity uses. In Judaism, we can also expand that to the Tanakh, which is basically the Old Testament portion, but arranged differently than it is in Christianity. And it's more similar to the Protestant version of the Old Testament. The Tanakh is a collection of books that was composed around the 5th century BCE, and it's a collection of Jewish literature, stories, history, and it is the basis of the Jewish nation. If we dig a little deeper, as a lot of people like mentioning, but what about the Talmud? The Talmud is actually what the Jews follow. Okay,
so she gets something wrong here. No, I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. She gets something wrong here. In Catholicism, Eastern Orthodoxy, we have the Church Fathers and we have the Holocrons, which is like Book of Saints. So we have the saints and we have the Lives of Saints, I guess I should say. And we have the Liturgy of the Hours, which is a prayer book, which is similar to their Seder. our breviary and their Seder are very similar. No, are very similar. They're almost exact. So I would say that the Talmud, as she says, I like her pronunciation. Even though I've been corrected when I say it that way, is very much like our church fathers. And the church fathers, I have 3 shelves full of church father writings, and I still don't have all of them. I can, for $1,000, get the Talmud and fill up one shelf. There's more church father writings than there's Talmudic writings.
So if we add up the Talmud, then we can also add the Hadith when it comes to Islam.
I think there's more Hadith than all 3, but I think the Hadith and the church father writings go a little bit better, because the church father writings also are commentary on the Bible as well, and theological teachings. So to say that we don't have a Talmudic writing is wrong. We do have commentary. It's just that ours is guided by tradition and not 100% official. Well, this is, I think, pretty official-ish, anyway.
Islam as well. The Talmud and the Hadith are not exactly the same. Here, for comparison, I added 2 pages from the Talmud versus 2 pages from the Hadith. You need a whole shelf. Actually, no, you need a whole closet to hold all the Talmud books, yes.
Seriously, I have 3 shelves of... I can buy the entire collection. I can get 2 shelves worth of Talmud. I can get the Babylonian and whatever the other one's called. I can't remember. For $1,000 each or $2,000 each, I can get it done. I don't have the money right now, but I can get it done. When it comes to the Hadith, I don't think I could ever spend enough money to get all of that. And when it comes to the church fathers, I think maybe another $1,000 and I have all the church father writings. You want to talk about crazy? Let's talk about Taoist and I should say Confucius as well, but not Confucian. Buddhist scripture. That is a ton. There's a ton of commentary, way more than what we got going on. So I'm just saying. It does not measure truth by how much writings each one has.
Are that vast. It's the biggest collection of any tradition. There is nothing that is remotely
Confucianism and the church fathers.
as vast as the Talmud is. And by the way, there are 2 Talmud.
No, the Talmud is not that fast. I can read through the entire Talmud. It might take me a few years, but I can read through the entire thing. The church fathers, that's proving a lot more complicated and a lot longer than I wanted it to be.
And it's not the end of it, because the Talmud was composed in the, let's say, 4th.
And church doctor writing is still happening today. There's people today who will be declared church doctors in the near future. So yeah, no, it's still going. I'm looking at you, Jimmy Akin. Trent Horn, you're not going to make the cut. You're good. You're not going to make the cut. I mean, you're going to get to heaven. That as far as I know. But I don't think you're going to be considered a church doctor. I think Jimmy Akin's going to be considered. I am not joking about the Jimmy Akin thing. I really do think he's going to be considered a church doctor after he passes.
Century or so, but there were writings before that, and there were writings after that. So when it comes to Judaism, I would say you have a whole library that is called Sifrei Kodesh. Most influential figure: Christianity, Paul; Judaism, the Jewish people, the Israelites; Islam.
I would say Jesus, but
So Islam, I chose Khadija because she was the first person that believed that.
So Augustine's kind of big. Thomas Aquinas, maybe. Luther's kind of a big deal. Kind of changed the entire Western world. I don't know. I don't like him, but he did.
Revelations that Muhammad had. Place of pilgrimage: Christianity, Jerusalem; Judaism, Temple Mount; and Islam, the Kaaba. Local community center: Christianity, church; Judaism, synagogue; Islam, mosque.
Just to be clear, let's go back here. So mind you, I'm doing this based off apologetical stuff, and I no longer trust apologetics. But I can't find the page. Pause it when she gets to it.
Islam. So Islam, I chose Khadija because she was the first person that believed the revelations that Muhammad had. Place of pilgrimage: Christianity, Jerusalem; Judaism, Temple Mount; and Islam, the Kaaba. Local community center: Christianity, church; Judaism, synagogue; Islam.
Okay, so the word for church and the word for synagogue used to be the same thing, at least according to the apologetics that I read 5 years ago, which now that I'm kind of anti-apologetics, I'm now questioning whether or not that's actually true. But at one point, church and synagogue meant the same thing, and at some point it didn't. So the words used to be interchangeable, and then after the church synagogue split, you had Judaism and Christianity separating from each other. That's the story that I heard. That's the story that I read. Someone who actually knows Hebrew, let me know.
Mosque, local community leader; Christianity, pastor; Judaism, rabbi.
They went from the Greek word to the... I mean, they went from the Hebrew word to the Greek word.
Islam, imam, afterlife. Christianity, there is heaven and hell. Judaism, there is a concept that is called Olam Haba, i.e. heaven on earth. Islam. So in Islam, hell and heaven are the places you get to after you've suffered all of your life and didn't have fun all of your life in the name of Islam and for the sake of Allah. So you are promised to have 72
I'll be honest, based on what she's saying, she doesn't seem to have a problem with Christianity.
virgins if you die, and the way you get to Jahannam, to not heaven, to hell, well, obviously if you're a woman, then you're gonna get there anyway, because women are wicked. And then who else is gonna get there? Well, everybody, except those who exploded themselves, actually. And you're gonna suffer and get skinned alive, and then you're gonna get there anyway, because women are wicked. And then who else is gonna get there? Well, everybody, except those who exploded themselves, actually. And you're gonna suffer and get skinned alive, and then your skin is gonna grow back just to get skinned again, and you're gonna suffer like that to eternity. How beautiful. Or getting tortured in the grave. That's the other option. Holidays. So what do the different religions celebrate? Christianity, Jesus' life events and other saints. Judaism, historical and agricultural events. Atonement days. Islam, child sacrifice. Muhammad.
To be fair, though, what Christians did was reappropriate the Jewish holidays. So it's all of Jesus's holidays or whatever are just reinterpretations and redating of the Jewish holidays that already existed.
But anything you can do, I can do better. Moments. For example, if Jews fast for a day and Jesus fasted for 40 days, why not have...
Again, Jesus was a Jew, so just saying, they're Jews, the Jews who did that.
a month of Ramadan, just, to show that the Muslims are better, and Muhammad's life events. So what makes those three religions Abrahamic? Well, if we dissect it, then first of all, those religions are Abrahamic because they're not dharmic. They don't come from those religions that are associated with Dharma. Another reason they're called Abrahamic is because those three religions all came from the Middle East and have the story of Abraham in their theology. That's it, basically. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment.
She's great, by the way. I don't always agree with her takes, but I think she's great. I think more people should be watching her. Let me take a view on her channel so you guys can see where to go. Rebecca Barsef. Go watch her channel. All right, let's do a little bit of Alex O'Connor, and then we'll call it a night. I'm going to go brush my teeth and floss. I'm going to take a break. Okay, guys? I'll be back.
Why is there something wrong?
I will be back. We're just going to cover their questions. We're not going to cover the whole... We're just going to cover each question. We're not going to cover their answers because their answers were kind of boring. I'll be back. I'm going to brush my teeth.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me.
Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less. Your check as I'm chess, what's happening next? Yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson. He got a new engine from pain, that's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill no discretion. Your mind is a a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me.
So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place. I wanna be first, work till it hurts. Dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions in the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off, I'ma break off from the weak minds. They can stay soft. You can change lives, you create thoughts, never waste time. You got one shot, you got one life. Better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss. Just my life and free thoughts.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy.
I'm gonna be really blunt. I may have drank too much water. I'm trying to drink a gallon of water a day. I'm down to there, and I don't feel great. I think I might have overdone it. I've been drinking it all day. Don't think I drink it all in one shot, but yeah, I'm feeling waterlogged. Oh boy. Okay.
Rather nothing is a perfectly sensible question. And I think that...
Joe Foley, welcome back to the show.
Oh, thank you very much. Good to be here.
You're an atheist.
Yes,
I'm an atheist.
allegedly.
We have asked our
Now
respective
kiss. Now kiss. Now kiss.
followers for questions that atheists cannot answer. And
Ashton Kutcher got buff and became British and an atheist.
today, well, we're going to try and answer.
Well, I
Self-declared
notice
atheist, anyway.
it's a good follow-up. I feel like we meet up every couple of months and attempt to
Self-declared
destroy
because there are no true atheists.
our own worldviews. So this is a good follow-on from
That's
those
right.
conversations.
That's right. We should make a regular thing of it. If you follow me on Twitter, or I suppose there was a YouTube community post, and I think you posted on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
We ask for questions, and these could be from atheists, it could be from theists. The idea is
Come on,
questions,
come on.
perhaps the most foundational question, not just of the philosophy of religion, but of all. Why is there something rather than nothing?
Oh, I mean, you could say blind luck or blind chance. I guess as a Christian, I would say God's will. Let's go to the next question.
Okay, the real question too.
Mm-hmm.
Any question that starts with a why.
It's a question that atheists can't answer.
Yeah, that is the word why, not the letter Y.
Yes, yeah. That's fantastic. And again, I actually think that this ties in quite nicely to the intuition we were talking about before, about we do have this kind of crying out for teleology in our why questions. Because there are two, like why is wonderfully ambiguous as a question. In everyday life, when we ask why, we often have, we mean it in two ways. What's caused this to be the case, and what is the reason this is the case? Or,
Thank you, Legends. Hey, Legends, put your comment back. It's fine. That was a fine comment, Legends. Don't take it away. Put it back up. It's fine. It's fine. It was a fine comment.
it's interesting. Richard Rorty, kind of offhandedly almost, defined this distinction between...
You mentioned it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Atheists cannot get an ought from an is.
I never got the out from an is thing.
Well, to a certain extent, there's a strong argument to suggest that no one can get an ought from it.
This is a fairly common theme in this genre of response video, I find, when somebody says, why does the universe exist? The smarmy atheist says, I don't know, and neither do you. And the point is you're asking a legitimate question, but it's a legitimate question that your answer to is either, like you say, a bit sort of ad hoc, or a bit unsatisfactory, or a bit silly, or subject to its own analysis and questions. So can an atheist get an ought from an is? No. But like you say, can a theist do it either? I had this debate with Ben Shapiro, and I think I didn't express this particular point well enough on basically everything he was saying. Well, if you're an atheist, free will can't exist. If you're an atheist,
right.
there's no way to get ought. If you're and I was just sort of like, yeah, totally, you're right. But where the hell are you getting it from? What difference does it make if there's a God? And I think with the ought question, even if, just to be clear, there are sort of two questions here. I mean, the question I actually have written down is, or rather the subject, the statement, the question of why we ought to do anything aside from arbitrary preference, right? And so there are sort of two questions hovering here. There's, can atheists have a concept of ought? And I think it's legitimate to maybe say that, you know, the concept of ought can only come from God. But if the question specifically is, can you get an ought from an is?
I disagree with that because I'm deep into ancient history, and I keep on thinking of Lycurgus and his reforms, and maybe even the Roman dude, Julius Caesar's great grand uncle. The Roman reforms. I can't. The Cerberus reforms? Is that his name? Anyway, the point is, I think even atheists can get to oughts. You just have to get there differently.
Even God doesn't help you there. All God does is just gives you the ought to derive more oughts from. Next question.
You have to have an authority figure to have an ought.
How can you explain sensus divinitatis? Which I believe is a term coined by John Calvin to describe the sense of the divine that sort of seems to exist within people. Muslims have the concept of fitra, you know, this pulling towards God that even if you don't personally feel it, maybe you've talked yourself out of it or something. It does seem anthropologically that wherever we look, people tend to have some kind of sense of the sacred and the profane and the numinous and the religious. If that does not actually latch on to something real.
There are atheists, meaning people who don't believe in God or a God or gods in general, who still believe in ghosts and spirits and demons and the magical and the mystical. So don't think that just because they don't believe in a God, that doesn't mean that they don't believe in an afterlife or they don't believe in ghosts or anything else. So just be aware. Don't fall into the apologetical trap that everybody does. You can still believe in mysticism and be an atheist. It's weird in the West that you do so, but if you go to the East, it's not that weird at all.
Here's another question. Provide me with a single civilization that has ever succeeded under an atheistic paradigm. Also, name me a civilization that has come into being without a preceding binding myth. So this practical question, like...
Yeah.
I like the second part of the question. I'm going to let this play out just a little bit.
How does the atheist respond to the fact, like implied in this question, that there's never been a successful atheistic paradigm and that there's never been a successful civilization that hasn't had some kind of like mythological founding?
I mean, I would say communist Russia, communist China, socialist Venezuela. There's been atheist paradigms. They're just not very successful in the Western way of viewing success. But, I mean, survival rise, I'd say communist Russia is still going strong.
I suppose that, I mean, obviously I'm not an anthropologist, so all of these answers are going to be terribly unreliable and you shouldn't listen to me. But
thanks for watching, everybody. I mean, the first thing I would point out here is that this at least implies that, like, I mean, the way the questioner says, also name me a civilization that has come into being without a preceding binding myth, grants that it might not be true.
Also, preceding is interesting there, right? Because I suppose there might be a sort of chicken.
I like that part of the question better.
Egg problem. Something interesting that one of Nietzsche's interesting observations is he thought that we often got causes and effects really confused. So, like,
let's change gears. Totally different kind of question here. I'm not sure if there's no answer, but I'd be curious to hear an argument for why we are able to trust human intellect and rationality as a reliable guide to truth.
Ooh, that one's deep. I don't think it is reliable. I don't think it is. I want it to be reliable, but I don't think it is reliable.
Oh, this is a fascinating one. I've been thinking about this. This has been actually really playing on my mind recently.
How can we trust human intellect to get us to truth? If there's no God, there's no divine guiding principle. Just to sort of lay this out, for the materialist,
I miss having a road mic.
The brain is just a bunch of atoms bumping into each other. Right? It's just like it's kind of like a rock or a piece of wood or something that happens to have developed this weird thing called consciousness. But like, there seems no necessary reason why it would have to be formed in relation to truth. Like, we were just talking a moment ago about how it makes sense to believe certain things that are false because it's like beneficial for us, right? Now, if it happened to be true that actually applied writ large to things like the laws of logic and mathematical truths, we'd literally be incapable of knowing. Because it might be the case that it's not that 2 + 2 = 4, it's that believing 2 + 2 = 4 is beneficial for my survival, and that's why my rationality evolved to believe that kind of thing. And somebody will come along and say, yeah, but hold on, like, you know, it just can't, like, my brain just can't conceive of the opposite. Like, we can know it to be true a priori. And I'm like, that's because that's how your brain evolved, right? There were people who believed that 2 + 2 is 5. It's just that believing that was not beneficial to their survival, and so they died out, leaving only us. Now, people will want to say, like, this is stupid. What do you mean? The reason they died out, and the reason why believing 2 + 2 equals 5 was not beneficial to their survival was because it's not true, right? And do you think that that's a good response to this?
I think this is one instance of just a general problem of circular justification in philosophy, and just like sort of so. Here you've got two claims. You've got one about epistemology and one about ontology, and effectively the question is how are we going to get them to play nice together. And the trouble is, I mean, on the classic Aristotelian model of philosophy, you have a bunch of branches of like the outer branch of the tree, and you get to the middle, and it's metaphysics or ontology. It's like the stuff that is. This is why Descartes' Meditations on Metaphysics is called Meditations on First Philosophy, because metaphysics is the first philosophy. And I think that the trouble is that there is, in practice, there's an interplay. There is mutual dependence between your epistemology and your ontology, because your ontology will justify your epistemology, but your epistemology has to justify why you believe in your ontology.
What is ontology and epistemology?
So epistemology, like the study of how you can come to know things, and ontology, the study of what is. So
Moving on. Where do the laws of logic come from?
As a Catholic, I can say God, but let's see.
Yeah, no.
Are you gonna say Aristotle? Hume?
This is a fascinating one. One thing is that I, when I was at uni, my specialty was mathematical logic. It was like it's what I focused on during my like final year and then during my master's. So like it's a very interesting question. There's a lot of dispute, understandably. Some argue that logic is fundamentally empiricist in founding. So some people argue that the laws of logic are abstracted from our observations. We don't see contradictions, so we have the law of non-contradiction. And there are various arguments used to support that. So like there was an attempted research program called Quantum Logic in like the 80s by Hilary Putnam, I think. And he modified the classical laws of logic in line with observations from quantum theory about.
While they're talking about interesting things, this guy's so boring. I think this is what it's like to talk to me.
About uncertainty principles and stuff.
I'm not saying I'm as smart as him. I'm just saying this is probably what it's like to talk to me in real life.
Understand quantum physics in the slightest. So I'm going to tread very lightly here. And
God overseeing it all. It would be quite weird.
Yeah,
it would still be like weirder that there wasn't some like creator non-material thing, but like it's possible to be of that persuasion.
Yeah.
So it's worth noting that. But I think really the question here,
Atheists struggle to explain Pangea and the Great Flood theory based on multiple accounts globally about it. The reason why is because the man was a modern man and religious.
put in the context of atheists not being able to answer it, is like consciousness seems like a very strange thing to expect if there is no intention behind the universe and if there is no immaterial element to the universe. Because consciousness seems like it's immaterial. It seems... One more question.
Yeah.
I would say consciousness is material, specifically because of what it is. The actions in your brain. The brain's material. Now, if you can say the brain's immaterial, then now you're talking about the soul.
And we're done, because God knows how long we've been... How long have we been going now?
2 hours 35.
It's been a long time.
I bet you'll see like my answers degrade in quality as time goes on.
We'll see if people agree with that. It's been a long time, but a good time, I think.
This one was really good, but I don't have enough energy for it. I think we'll do just like
Somebody
5
says,
minutes of it, 10 minutes of
fine-tuning,
it.
never heard a good rebuttal to the issue.
Okay. Here we go. We're going to do just a little touch of this. A little touch of this.
In the eyes of everyone who works for
Now, these people bother me. It says on their bio that they're husband and wife.
Interpretation of the current...
But they really look like brother and sister to me. And they act like brother and sister to me. So that's what's creepy. And they're never in the same room together, which is also creepy.
American electorate or body.
And he's just too skinny to be a human. Him, not them. They're fine. He's scary. He's some kind of robot, machine, alien. I don't know.
Is about 15 to 20% of America.
I watched this earlier today, and I found this incredibly interesting. I think they're a little up their own asses. I'm just going to be really honest. I think they're smelling their own farts. But the way they banter is great. I wish me and my wife bantered this way. We don't. I wanted to marry Lorelai Gilmore. I would, but that didn't happen.
Genuinely hold some form of woke ideology. Yet, this faction is not.
There is a really good question that he asked here, though, and I do want to. I want to get back. Let's see if he mentions it. When he mentions it, I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to talk about it because that's what I want to talk about based on this video. I don't want to actually talk about the video.
Activate a woke user base, if we just go pure woke, be creative, go story heavy, like, is that something that can be done?
Right.
And the answer appears to be no. And so this is genuine.
I'm a professional writer. I've ghostwritten for some important things and for some important people. Why am I not famous? Okay? These guys are kind of creepy and they're famous. Is it because I'm not white? Is it a racist thing? Is it because I'm not white? Let's be honest. Now that I'm no longer out in the sun, I'm just as pale as they are. Okay, my last name's Jewish, fine. And Hispanic, fine. But last year, or the last 7 years, I've had a very nice dark tan from working out in the sun all day. That's no longer the case. So I'm just saying, give me my money. Give me my money. Give me a bestseller. Give me a New York bestseller or a Wall Street Journal bestseller, whatever it is that their bestseller was. They give away their books for free for $1, or not for free, for $1, and they donate their money. They donate their money. I don't like them. I'm just kidding. They're extremely interesting people, but yeah, they're kooky. They're kooky. They're kooky people. It's maybe that's part of the charm. Maybe that's why they're interesting. Is because they're kooky. Maybe I should be more kooky.
A little perplexed because my interpretation of the current American electorate or body is about.
It does bother me that they're not in the same room and they're not in the same place. That really does bother me. I'm not just joking because they're like that every video. I really did think they were brother and sister until I read the bio.
15 to 20% of America genuinely hold some form of woke ideology. Yet this faction is not buying anything, and the question is why. Now, there's a
No, this is a serious question. So, companies are trying to make products for woke people, woke ideology. I don't know. They're trying to make products to appeal to them, but they're not buying them. So you have people complaining that comics are not woke enough, but then they make a woke comic and they don't buy it. A woke comic does not appeal to me. I have over 6,000, 7,000 comics, and then I have another 1,000 graphic novels. That's not a joke. That's not an exaggeration. And yet, I'm not buying the current stuff because it's too woke for me. I don't enjoy it. I don't want to be preached to. I'm Hispanic. For those that don't know my history, you know, I was polypan when I was a teenager and a young adult. I'm a fighter, dyslexic, you know, the whole thing. Like if you want to fucking appeal to someone on a demographic, I'm right here. Dead mother, the whole thing, Hispanic, Jewish ancestry, Native American. Like I'm here. I don't want to read this shit. It's crap. But there has to be someone who buys into the ideology. Why aren't they buying their products? You know, Lost Girl fucking gets canned, just canceled. Mockingbird, which I read that comic, canceled. Nobody bought it. I was like the one person in the United States reading that comic book. I liked it, by the way. So I do not understand. If you're going to demand wokeness in video games, buy the fucking video game. Otherwise, leave our video games and our comic books and our movies alone. It's fine if you're going to demand representation, blah, 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 you know, anti-racism, whatever, anti-whiteness, whatever you're going to demand in your product. That's fine. Go pay for the product. If you're not going to pay for the product, then shut up. If you're going to demand that the stuff that I love be changed, that Wolverine be bisexual, that they be part of a trad quiet, a trad polycube or whatever the hell. If you're going to fuck with my X-Men, buy the comic. keep it alive for another 2 or 3 generations. If you're going to make Superman gay, buy it. Otherwise, leave my characters alone. I was enjoying Super Sons. I didn't want wokeness to mess it up. Wokeness messed it up. Okay, fine. Then buy it. Keep Superman around for another 20, 30, 40 years like we did with our money, paying for these comics that you now say are toxic masculine or regressive or whatever it is you consider the old guard, which, by the way, these were liberal ideas back then, and now they're like super conservative. They were never conservative ideas, okay? Truth, justice, and the American way is a liberal idea. And now you're stripping that away for some kind of weird socialism. Socialism, if socialism means free comic books and free movies for everybody, then socialism ain't going to work. Because these people who are spending billions of dollars on entertainment for us, they need to get paid. Otherwise, we're not going to have comic books and movies. The movie industry is dying because it went woke. TV died because it went woke. It didn't die because of streaming. If you would have had good shows that we wanted to watch, we would have showed up to watch it. So no, it's a terrible thing that you guys are doing, and you're trying to do it to religion. You know, progressive Christianity is out there, and it's messing everything up. You got a second Reformation happening within Protestantism, and it's going to kill mainline Protestantism. It's just going to kill it. So, I have a lot to say on this topic. I'm not going to say it because I'm going to stop at the end of the hour. But let's hear him talk a little bit more.
I'm going to go over the generic theories that people make, right? One is to say, well, the mistakes...
He needs to eat a steak. Do you know what I'm saying? Or some empanadas? Or some sweet bread? Both kinds of sweet bread. Both the pancreas and the conchas. You know what I mean? He needs a flour tortilla. This man is a man who needs a flour tortilla.
That these companies are making is that they are...
I am so sniffly that I don't know if this is even funny right now.
Listening to people who are very loud online, which is predominantly people without anything else going on in their lives.
Yeah, you say it, baby.
Employed people who don't have the money to go out and buy games. And it's like, that's an interesting theory, but the problem with that theory is I can just look at the donations from the Fang...
Look, I'm getting frustrated with Black Myth Wukong. I can't get past that stupid water snake boss. It's sucking. But the game itself is beautiful. I haven't played... I can't remember the name of it. The one with the girls and there's girls coming to a planet to save it. But it looks awesome to play. It looks fun. You know, Deadpool and Wolverine did well because it was fun. The wokeness didn't freaking matter. Just have a fun movie. Just have a fun game. If it's fun, people will play it. One of my favorite video games of all time was the Buffy the Vampire Slayer game. The original one. The second one was good too. Buffy the Vampire Slayer 2 was okay. But the first one was great because it was a platformer and it was fun. Just make things fun. It doesn't have to be great. It can just be enjoyable and we'll spend money. You make it miserable, nobody wants to pay for that.
Tech company, and like 98% of Facebook is going to the Democrats.
Or keep talking, legends. Keep going.
Even thought to produce this game. Clearly, there's a large technocratic faction in America that works in large, well-paying bureaucracies that is, or at least signals that they are woke. Right?
Would you like to know more?
Hello, Simone. It is wonderful to be here with you today. I am excited to be chatting with you, and the reason I am excited to be chatting with you today is something happened in the video games industry.
Okay, we're done. I'm gonna call it a night. We're gonna do the outro music. Let me do the outro. I feel like hi, I have allergies and possibly a head cold. I'm tired. I'm gonna go exercise and then go to bed. And maybe write. I'm supposed to write. I might not. Legends is a legend, and I'm glad he's in chat today. Lisa, thank you for stopping by. I'm sorry that I didn't keep the stream going the way we usually go, but I'm not feeling great. I'm supposed to announce something about my dad's GoFundMe. I don't have anything going on in my brain right now. If you go to my second channel, Want to Work Out, I am going to have an update on there soon. I filmed it yesterday. I haven't had a chance to edit it. Also, the camera overheated twice, which kind of pissed me off. I'm thinking about getting a GoPro 13, but I don't have any money. So, that's kind of a problem. Kind of a problem when you don't have any money. What else? Oh, I did apply for another job. I have another interview. I did an interview this past week. I have another interview Thursday. So hopefully we'll get a better paying job soon, and then some more of my troubles can disappear. Other than that, I love everybody. God loves you. God forgives you. Forgive everyone for everything, and forgive yourself. Change your ways. Become a better person today. Right now, you're listening to this. Do my 40-day challenge. 40 days to fix my life. Every day, I'm adding 1 more minute. Today, go run for 1 minute. I'm not asking you to run for an hour. Run for 1 minute. And then tomorrow, 2. And the next day, 3. And the next day, 4. If you're in a shitty job, today, right now, apply for a job. And tomorrow, apply for another job. At least 1 a week, but if you can, 1 a day. Not 20, 30, 40 jobs. Apply for 1 better paying job that has the hours that you want, and do a different job like that every day. You need to read more. Read 1 page a day. You need to write 1 sentence a day. Do this 40-day challenge with me. Fix your life in 40 days. Because you start off with 1 and you end with 40. 40 sentences a day. 40 job applications a day. Or 40 job applications all in all. 40 minutes of running. Like, just imagine what you can do if every day you're improving yourself just a little bit at a time. All right. Peace, like, and subscribe. I love you all. I feel like shit. I'm going to call it a night. These 2 people, you can't see them. They scare me. I don't know what's wrong with them, but they scare me. I wish them all the success, and I hope to be as successful as them one day. But they're spooky, and I'm spooky. So if a spooky person's saying you're spooky, it's spooky. Blue Beetle from Young Justice. I'm glad they gave him some. I liked Blue Beetle. I didn't love the Blue Beetle movie. I'm gonna be honest. Everybody kind of liked it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the first half. The first half of the Blue Beetle movie sucked. Maybe it's because I'm Hispanic and they went way overboard with the fake Hispanicness. It was cringy. The second half of the movie I actually enjoyed, which I think most people are the other way around, where they liked the Hispanic stuff and they didn't like the second half. I like the second half of the Blue Beetle movie. This is a insane. Blue Beetle in Young Justice, though, amazing and awesome. Blue Beetle in Smallville, amazing and awesome. All right, I'm now ranting, and I said I was going to stop. So have a good night. Let's listen to some music and call it a night. Good night, everybody. Peace.
But you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me.
Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test. Expect nothing less, your check as I'm chess. What's happening next? He got the venom, a tangible weapon. No coming in second, this life is a lesson. He got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they're scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they drag the chains, you can say no, free me.
So he's been looking for somebody who could save